I'm Scott.
I'm Brian.
We're Schwartz on Sports. As you know, March Madness ended last weekend, and Louisville won it all. If you followed our Schwartz on Sports mock,
you won it all.
You probably won it all, but or not because we picked Georgetown. But
that happens.
This March Madness is probably one of the most jacked up, upsets. People win that shouldn't win. It was crazy. Yep. But Louisville won, as you know, so we'll get that out of the way. The thing we haven't talked about yet are the transactions the Browns made in the offseason and one they just made this week, so we're going to talk about those.
Well, the one they just made this week was Sam Acho, the linebacker.
Who the hell's Sam Acho?
The linebacker from Texas we took last year that I think he had some knee injury and was out all year, I believe.
They got him in the 6th round.
Got him in the 6th round. We traded him to Philly for Dion Lewis, a scat back, which is pretty good. He almost has 5 yards of carry.
He played at Pitt.
Which is 5 yards of carry is great. And I believe when they played us, he scored on like a 40-yard touchdown catch.
He's a good little scat back, and if you're me, this is your opportunity to get rid of Hardest Trash because he sucks ass. Monterio needs to go. He's one of the worst picks the Browns ever had.
Yeah, I think Richardson and Obaniah. Lewis would be a pretty deadly combination there. But that'll bring us to where we spent our big money. Got Paul Kruger out of Baltimore.
I think we overpaid for him, so we have a shit ton of money for what he is, but it's a sign that this new regime wants to spend money and wants to get better. So it's a good sign as a fan.
It's an awesome sign, and he brings sacks. That's something the Browns don't get is sacks.
I still don't think he's that great of a signing. I'm glad we did it. It's not my money, I guess, so I really don't care, but they overspent for him.
I think he's going to help out DeQuella Jackson won. He's going to help DeQuella out big time. So, and the other big signing we had was Desmond Bryant from Oakland. Awesome defensive lineman. Everyone knows him from his mug picture. But
our line's going to have some serious depth this year.
But we have an awesome rotation. You got Bryant, Taylor, and Rubin starting, and you got Billy Wynn rotating in. I mean, that's just, whew.
And even though Sheard's going to go to the outside linebacker, he's going to have his hand down a lot of times, I think. So
him and Kruger both will. And then that leads us to our other kind of big signing. He had a good year last year, Quentin Groves. The linebacker from Arizona. He's going to played under Ray Horton. He's going to help the defense out tremendously because he already knows the scheme. He's going to help everybody out, and it should be a smooth transition. The part I don't like about free agency is who the hell did we get in the secondary?
Nobody.
What DB we get? We did get one.
We got a backup nickel guy. I can't think of his name right now.
But safety, we didn't get any starters. No. It's just
so that leads you to believe that if Milner's there in the draft, we'll probably take him. And
you have to.
You combine Milner and Hayden. You got a really good.
And Ward.
Yeah. So going along those lines of the draft, there's an interesting article that NFL.com did where they rated every team's best and worst draft picks of all time. So we kind of want to go through that and just kind of give our opinion on what they say as our best and worst picks of all time.
We're going to start you out with the best picks first. And the best overall pick the Browns ever had in recent years.
No, this is all time.
Well, it'd be Jim Brown.
I guess. They don't go back that far.
That's what I'm saying.
They go back to 72.
In recent times, in 1978, it was Ozzie Newsome.
Yep. He played at Alabama, as everybody knows. He kind of, redid the way people thought about a tight end and kind of revolutionized it, I guess you'd say. And he's in the Hall of Fame. He played for us for 13 years. I mean, he was just a stud.
Yeah. And that brings us down to the Mr. Bernie Kosar.
Bernie! Oh, Bernie! How you can throw.
Boom, boom. Anyways, number one in the supplemental draft.
Which is basically giving up your number one pick, so that's why they're considering it the second best pick in the Browns' modern era, is Mr. BK, Bernie Kosar, number 19.
And then, number 3, you got badass long-haired Clay Matthews, 1978, the number 12 pick.
Dude played for 19 seasons at USC, 16 of those for the Browns. Dude was just a rock. He was insane. Why the Browns passed on his son, I'll never know.
That's great. And that brings us to Mr. Cardiac Kid himself, Brian Sipe, 1972, the 330th pick.
He was picked in the 13th round. For those that don't know, it went beyond 7 rounds back in the day. So most of the people that are unrestricted free agents out of college were actually drafted at one point.
And here's the one people might not remember or might not know.
Come on.
Hanford Dixon.
Big dog!
1981 with the 22nd pick in the draft.
Him and Frank Minifield basically came up with the whole dog term, and that's where the dog pound started. I'm sure everybody knows that, but we'll tell you.
In case you don't.
Now to the worst picks in the modern era for the Browns.
Our worst pick when we came back as a franchise team. The number
1999.
one pick, Tim Couch.
Now,
Kentucky.
In my opinion, I get why the NFL.com is saying it's the worst pick of all time because he basically didn't pan out to what he could have been and probably should have been.
Well, he's a number one pick. That's
right.
Why.
I mean, that was the defining pick of the new Browns.
But the next one was a number one pick as well.
Right. But Tim Couch just got his ass annihilated behind our patchwork.
He had talent.
Line. He did. I mean, he would have been a decent quarterback.
He threw for over 3,000 yards consistently. And he got his ass beat.
He just got destroyed.
If he would have had a line, I guarantee he would have been in the top 15.
The second worst pick of all time for the Browns out of Penn State.
The Quiet Storm.
Courtney Brown. And I think nicknaming him the Quiet Storm was apropos because he didn't do shit.
That's the best nickname ever.
The Quiet Storm. He doesn't do shit. He was a waste of a pick.
And that brings us to...
Oh, this guy's even worse.
Our most overrated running back ever picked in the first round. William Green.
Mr. Marijuana himself.
I remember him. He sucked. I mean, that's all I can say. He was all hype. And that brings us to Mr.
Phil Savage's gleaming moment.
Mr. Draft falling boy himself, the one that had to leave the green room because he was embarrassed and crying on the stage.
Although he does have a hot sister. I'll give him that.
And Mr. Ohio State married him. Married her, I'm sorry. But that brings us to...
The fourth worst pick of all time is...
Brady Quinn.
Brady Quinn.
Mr. Ohio himself. He just didn't work out. Wasn't really given an opportunity to work out either.
But also in that draft, to Phil Savage's credit, he made the no-brainer choice of taking Joe Thomas at 3.
Yep.
So he kind of saved it a little bit.
You get Joe Thomas, why not get him quarterback?
Right.
He tried.
But I mean, looking at the draft from the perspective of April of that year, it was a shrewd move to move back into the second round or back into the first round to get him. But it just didn't work out.
And I'm going to let you cover these next 3 busts because I was 2 years old, 3 years old, and 10. So I don't really remember.
Well, to me, they've got 3 people rated as the 5th worst, kind of a tie, I guess, for the 5th all-time worst pick the Browns have had. Mike Junkin, Clifford Carlton, and Craig Powell. I only know Craig Powell because he played at Ohio State. They drafted him in 94. He was the last pick of the Browns' old regime in Cleveland. And... I mean, I was all excited. I remember I was like a sophomore in high school, and he played at Ohio State, so everybody loved the fact the Browns drafted an Ohio State kid. He sucked! He played 2 games for the Browns. 2. You know what he was drafted? Number 9 overall. And I'm like, what the hell? It was just ridiculous. So that was a dumb pick. I guess he was number 30 overall, not number 9, but either way, he's a first-round pick, and he sucked.
But I do think we need to start looking in the Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not what they used to be. I mean, they got some talent now.
Right. So, with that being said, we're going to transition to this year's draft. We kind of got this broken down positionally by the...
We're going to do our top 5 positionally.
Yeah, top 5 prospects in each class.
And then we're going to head into our mock draft. We're going to start with our top 5 quarterbacks. Number 1, we got barely Geno Smith, West Virginia.
Brian wanted to have Matt Barkley as the best quarterback prospect come out of the draft. I don't agree with that. I think it's clearly Geno Smith, but he thinks Barkley's better prepared.
I think Matt Barkley's better prepared. He can read a defense 10 times better, I'm telling you that right now.
But can he throw?
And if you look, I know it doesn't matter, but some people it's a big thing. He's got the biggest hands out of all quarterbacks. So in cold weather, he's not going to fumble it, lose it.
But can he throw it? He's got a noodle arm.
He can throw it. Everyone compared him to Andy Dalton. Can he throw it to A.J. Green?
And you want Andy Dalton as your best quarterback out of this draft? Come on.
He's beating people.
Come on, man!
I'm just saying.
Whatever. He's got our 3rd-rated quarterback. He's my 2nd-rated quarterback, E.J. Manuel of Florida State. I think he'll go in the 2nd round. I'd love the Browns to draft him, but we don't have a 2nd-round pick.
The one thing awesome about him is he's the best quarterback that can throw on the run in this whole draft.
Yeah.
And in Cleveland, you're going to be running. So,
well.
And then that takes us to our 4th-rated, Ryan Nazeeb.
Massive.
Whatever.
Syracuse.
He's kind of that grunt.
Yeah, I mean, he's a gym rat. I mean, he's like I don't know if he's a coach's kid, but it's kind of weird.
He's a coach's kid. He's a little muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of reminds me of like a Tebow build
or Jake Locker kind of thing.
He'll run you over.
But the next quarterback we have is this kid's boy. He's been on his sack for the last 2 years, which I don't agree with. I think he fucking sucks. But
I'm not saying he's gonna come. I'm not saying he's gonna come right in and start.
I'm just saying he's your boy.
You give him a year and a system to develop, Landry Jones, Oklahoma.
You give him a year, he'll give you a wasted pick. We'll go there.
I mean, just like Gruden said, he got bored in that offensive system. He had it hands down. They never ran the ball.
If you're in the same system that long, you should excel and kick ass.
But they never ran the ball like you said.
Care.
You can't throw every play, and you just can't.
You can't. Enough. He sucks. Anyway, Brian's sleeper for the quarterback is
Sean Renfree, Duke. He's smart. Very smart with the ball.
He went to Duke.
He's very smart with the ball. He completed, I think, like almost 68% of his passes, which is insane.
He reminds you of another smart kid.
He reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but a little more upside than him. That's all Ryan Fitzpatrick was smart.
Ryan hit his ceiling, made his money. So that's the way it is.
But he's got a lot of potential as a builder. Work him up.
In the right system.
Yeah. And that brings us to top 5 running backs. Obviously, the number one's Eddie Lacy. No one's going to touch him. So.
Eddie Lacy's bigger than Trent. Last year when we drafted Trent, I was kind of the impression that it was all offensive line, and I kind of think a little bit of that's with Lacy too. Where Alabama's offensive line was just awesome. It was awesome last year.
They're huge.
Yeah. So is Trent really that good, or was it the line making him look good? From what I saw of Trent last year, he wasn't all that.
But he showed some gleam.
Yeah, but he's not worth the pick that we gave him.
And remember, our offensive line fell apart.
But he still didn't do that much before he got hurt.
Oh, it's hard to run inside when you don't have guards, and he almost put
It's hard to run with broken ribs too.
He almost put up 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Being out 3 games.
The second running back we've got the 5 is Le'Veon Bell from Michigan State. The kid runs over people. He's a big dude. He can jump. I mean,
he jumps over people, and he's 6'1", 230. I mean, he's agile. He's going to be something. And that brings us to our third one, which I might have him rated a little high, but the boy can run. Jonathan Franklin out of UCLA.
Reminds you of?
DeMarco Murray. He runs a little upright, just like they said about DeMarco. He couldn't make it, and look what he's doing.
The next guy we got is Monty Ball out of Wisconsin. He kind of reminds us of LaShawn McCoy a little bit, though I think that's a bit of a stretch because he's a really poor man's LaShawn McCoy.
But it's all I can think of. The style is the same. And that brings us to our number 5 rated.
Giovanni Bernard from North Carolina.
And when I say who he reminds me of, which is Ray Rice, I'm not lying. The boy is shifty and he can move, and he's got a compact body.
He went to school with Greg Little, who went to North Carolina. Greg Little played a little running back with Bernard.
Bernard beat him out. That's why he became a receiver.
He's decent. And then the guy we both love from the Combine, I don't know if everybody out there is a Combine nut like we are.
Which, if he would have stayed, Bulimia, isn't that his name?
Not
Bulimia.
Bielema.
Whatever his name is from Wisconsin.
Brett Bielema.
Would have made this guy a god.
Yeah. Niall Davis.
5'10", 230 pounds, and runs a 4.38.
The dude's fast for as big as he is.
4.38.
He's worth a flyer in the, I'd say mid to late 3rd round just to see what he got out of him.
And he's not just 230. He's 230 of muscle.
He's a brick house.
And that brings us to our wideouts. And you guys,
this kid, if the Browns trade back in the draft, if you get this kid, he's like a Percy Harvin.
And I'm just going to tell you right now, Cordell Patterson is not on our list. He's not on our list.
Everybody's, pretty much all the mock drafts, like Mayock and Kuiper and McFuck and all those people from the ESPN, they've got Cordell Patterson ranked as their best receiver. If you watched him at the Combine, the dude cannot catch. He might be fast. Okay. He can't catch.
That's not the thing. We watched the Combine.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 drills in a row we watched this guy. They literally walked through this drill like twice, and then they said, go.
He did it wrong.
And he did it wrong all 3 times.
The kid is stupid.
So if he can't even follow that, how's he supposed to learn a damn playbook?
The guy might be fast. He can't catch, and 2, he's not going to learn an NFL playbook, so he's not worth number 1.
He's going to be very slow developmental.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? He's going to be just like that dude that signed with the Dolphins. That was his name.
Mike Wallace?
Yeah. What are you going to do? All you do with Mike Wallace, you get in the house like, go do a fly. That's all you're going to do with Cordell.
If you compare him to Mike Wallace, that's...
I'm just saying from an intelligence standpoint.
From speed and stuff, yes, I see.
So our top-rated receiver in this draft is Tavon Austin from West Virginia. Geno Smith's one of Geno Smith's favorite targets. His other favorite targets are sleepers.
If there's anyone like Percy Harvin coming out, it's this guy.
Tavon's going to be, you put this kid in the slot, he's going to be a star.
He can return, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can work the slot outside. He can do it all.
Yep.
And you say he's 5'8", worried about him breaking, but he's pretty thick.
Yeah, maybe he's
180, but he's
short, but he's not small.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
And then that brings us to number 2. I really love this guy. I don't know why he fell off to like number 5, 6 on people's boards, but DeAndre Hopkins is a stud from Clemson. He's a gamer.
6'1", he's a big dude.
He's big-bodied, he's thick.
The next guy, though, he's a little rough around the edges, I guess, but Justin Hunter from Tennessee, he's got ideal size. He's 6'4", 200.
He's like an A.J. Green. He's built like A.J. Green. Yep. And Patterson was not their go-to guy. Hunter was. Every time they needed a play, they went to Hunter, not Patterson.
Yep. The next guy, I think, is probably the most prepared receiver. He gets to step right in like A.J. Green.
Well, probably our next two.
Yeah. I mean, he may not have as big of an impact as A.J. Green had, but he can step in, and he's pro-ready.
He's ready, yeah.
Robert Woods from USC is our next guy, which we're talking about. And the next guy after that, Keenan Allen from Cal. He played against Ohio State last year and tore us up. He's going to be good.
He ran a slow 40. That's why we have him down at 5. Right. Just because we would have him 2 or 3, but I think that 40 time is going to drop him a little bit.
But he's pro-ready, just like.
And then our sleeper or underrated, which I think he's completely underrated.
Stedman
Bailey, Tavon Austin's counterpart. I'd take him in the second round in a heartbeat.
Wish we had a second one.
Well, I'm just saying. But
now we get to our tight ends, and if you know what the Browns did in the offseason, we didn't sign an impact player. We're hoping Jordan Cameron turns into our stud tight end. Kellen Lewis, I don't think is really the answer. We signed him. He's more of a blocking tight end.
We need a bigger guy that can actually catch.
There's a guy on this list we're going to talk about at number 4, which I think the Browns are looking at. They've had him there for a couple of visits.
And actually, the guy under him they've been looking at pretty hard, too.
Yep. So go ahead with your number 1.
Our number 1 tight end is Tyler Eifert.
Notre Dame.
He's the... never mind. He's a big boy at 6'6", 250, and he can move.
So can Zach Ertz from Stanford, our second guy.
Those two are, they're close.
Yeah, I don't know how you separate one over the other by an inch. You think the guy's taller? I don't know.
Then our third one might surprise you.
I don't think so.
But I think we have him a little higher than some people. But Travis Kelce, Cincinnati, 6'5", 255. He's big and he's got speed.
This next guy is the one the Browns have had in for a visit. They're looking at him. Calvin Escobar.
Gavin
Escobar.
Sorry.
It's all good.
From San Diego State.
He's 6'6", 255, ideal size again, kind of the same body type as Jordan Cameron.
And the next one that the Browns are really interested in, from Colorado, Mr.
Nick
Do you like girls? Question. Nick Casa, 6'6", 270 pounds.
That's almost lineman size right there.
And he was in the middle of the pack in speed. That's scary.
Our sleeper, who you will know, is from Ohio State. His name, Jake Stoneburner.
The Ohio State University, 6'3", 255.
Someone's going to get a nice tight end out of him in the later rounds.
He has got hands, man. He has got hands. And if they really wanted to, they can make him lose 10 pounds and make him a wideout.
Yep.
And that brings us to the top offensive tackles, which 3 of these guys will be gone within the first 10 picks. And our number 1 tackle, which also who we have going number 1 in our draft, Eric Fisher, Central Michigan, 6'7", 310.
In our mind, he's a little bit more refined than Luke Jokel. Jokel came on because of the big year that Texas A&M had this year. He's our number 2 tight end. He's still number 1 in a lot of boards, so we think Fisher's a little bit better.
They're the same size. Fisher's a little taller, but I think Jokel's hit his
ceiling.
He's hit his ceiling. Fisher hasn't touched it yet. And our number 3, Lane Johnson, he hasn't even came close.
Yep. Lane Johnson.
He could be the best one out of this whole group.
And our 4th guy, Menelik Wilson from Florida State. He's been rising on the boards, too, lately.
Menelik Watson, Florida State, 6'5", 310. And that brings us to our 5th rated. Some people have him as the 4th rated, but he's just so big. I just think some speed rushers are going to get around him.
He's more of a right tackle.
He's 6'4", 340. He's a big boy.
Yeah, DJ Fluker's not playing left tackle.
And that brings us to Mr. NFL Bloodline himself as our underrated Kyle Long, Oregon.
Howie's son.
6'6", 315. And he's only has 2 years college experience, 1.5, because he had a huge drug problem.
And he's Howie's son. Come on.
And he had to get clean. It only takes him a year with that bloodline. He's a beast. I wouldn't look by him if he's there.
This is one of the deeper drafts you're probably ever going to see for offensive guards in the NFL. It's just deep this year.
Yep.
And I think the Browns trade out of the 6th spot. I think our number 1 rated guard's a possibility. Jonathan Cooper out of North Carolina, dude's a stud.
He's clearly, in my opinion, better than Chance Warmack.
He's more athletic. He can move.
He's lighter, quicker, his upper body is stronger, and he doesn't have T-Rex arms like Chance Warmack.
Right.
I mean, in the NFL, you're not going to be able to get away with it.
But if you watch tape on Cooper, the way he pulls as a guard,
it's
this
insane.
dude's insane.
And Chance Warmack, he's got his short arms. Yeah. The linebackers in the NFL are going to kill him.
He's a run-blocking guy, period. I mean, strictly only.
If you watch his tape, he doesn't really use his arms. He gets down.
Yeah, he pushes.
He's kind of like a little ball rolling. It's effective.
Yeah, right? I mean, Cooper can get out and move.
Cooper
and
uses his hands
and goes downfield and blocks. Yeah. I mean,
Cooper's
Browns get Cooper. If the Browns trade down and take Cooper, hell, if they even take Cooper at 6, if Milner's gone, I'll be happy. I like the kid.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Warmack. If they got Warmack, I'd be happy. I just
think
Cooper's better.
I'd be ecstatic if they got Cooper, though.
And that brings us to our third rated, one of our bigger guys in the guard category, Larry Warford from Kentucky, 6'3", 330. He's good and solid. I mean, you can't go wrong with him.
The fifth guy, Taron Armstead from Arkansas Pine Bluff, the powerhouse of Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff. Sounds like something out of a Simpsons movie. Anyways.
You got a pretty mouth. Deliverance.
That brings us to our fifth ranked.
Our sleeper guy,
Justin Pugh, Syracuse, 6'4", 300. Him and Armstead are real close there. They fluctuate.
They're interchangeable.
And then that brings us to our Ohio boy. He's not really a sleeper. I just think he's underrated.
He's very underrated.
He's for
a good starter.
Brian Winters, Kent State.
Golden Flash.
6'4", 320. Most people have him ranked around the 10 area, but we think he's more around the 5 area. Which I think he could go first round, but he's not going to.
This draft is also very deep at defensive tackle.
It's
defense in general. I mean, this is a defensive draft.
Yep.
But the first guy that we have rated as a defensive tackle, he pretty much shut up the draft boards after the combine. It was Star Ludolele for a long time, but now the number one consensus DT for the Schwartz on Sports is Sharif Floyd from Florida. Dude's an animal.
6'3", 295.
And he's athletic as hell.
And he's quick. And since he's quick and athletic, this is why we have our number 2 rated, Sheldon Richardson out of Mizzou. We have him jumping over Star now, too, just because athletic, and those two can get to the quarterback, Star can't.
Star Ludolele is from Utah. He had a heart condition. He was the consensus overall pick for a long time.
Here's the thing for Browns fans.
You don't need a defensive tackle.
Star is like a Phil Taylor. He's not going to get to the quarterback.
No, he's a run stop.
But he is going to clog the line. Floyd and Richardson are like a Reuben. He's always in the backfield. Always.
Yep.
And that brings us to number 4.
Sylvester Williams from North Carolina. If you haven't seen the theme in the draft yet, North Carolina's stacked. They got a bunch of players.
I think North Carolina, LSU, and Florida State are pretty up there. And that brings us to Mr. Big Ten himself.
One short from Purdue.
A little higher than some people have him, but I really like him. He's an athletic build, too.
One of the guys that dropped that was talked about for probably half the college season is from Ohio State.
Everybody knows him.
Jonathan Hankins. He's huge. And he can move.
He's 6'3", 320.
He's not just a clogger. He can actually tackle and move around and get people.
He's a mix between Taylor and Reuben.
Yep.
And that brings us to defensive ends. People might be shocked with our number 1 DN, but trust me, people, he's a DN. Once you see how big he is, he'll have a harder time playing outside.
He hasn't played much football. He kind of reminds us of Jason Pierre-Paul for the Giants, JPP. Same kind of situation.
But he's 275 pounds. That's kind of big to be an outside linebacker. That's why we have him as our number 1 DN. And Ezekiel Ansah. Ziggy. BYU. I don't think he's going to come right in and be a stud.
No, he'll be
his second year. I think he's going to be a stud once NFL works with him. And that brings us to number 3, Bjorn Werner.
No relation to Rich. That I know.
And like we said, Florida State's deep in this class too. I mean, there's 2 back-to-back right here. And number 4, you got Tank Carradine, Florida State. Now, could you imagine playing them back-to-back? Holy crap. That's a solid line right there. And that brings us to our number 4th rated, Datone Jones, UCLA, 6'4", 280. I don't know too much about him, but he's been shooting up the boards pretty quick.
5th guy, we got Marcus Hunt from SMU.
He's
a little taller than you would really think for a guy in that position.
I think he was transferred. I think he came in as a tight end or an offensive tackle or something. They moved him to defense.
The dude is 6'8".
6'8",
big boy.
He's lean, but he's strong. And I've watched him play 2 or 3 games on TV. He gets to the quarterback. And our sleeper, for this is
William Goldson from Michigan State.
Pure sleeper, but he's got some talent. I mean, he killed Ohio State single-handedly.
Yeah, he was really active when he played Ohio State. So this brings us to our outside linebackers.
Well, this is outside linebackers for 4-3 and 3-4 combined.
It's just the general positional outside linebacker. Number 1 rated overall, which a lot of drafts have us taking, is Deion Jordan from Oregon. Dude was a freak at the combine. He was 6'6",
freak on tape. I think this is the tallest outside linebacker I've ever seen come out that can drop back and cover running backs and tight ends and receivers. It's insane.
Yep.
And they did a study on, I think it was him getting his hands up. He can be 15 yards away with his vertical and still get his hand on the ball.
He's a big
That
dude.
is crazy.
He's a big dude. Second, from LSU, we got Barkevious Mingo, which I guess his nickname is Kiki. So if you hear during the draft Kiki Mingo, it's Barkevious.
Yeah, I mean, him and Deion are kind of the same build, same type of player. But
the only knock on Barkevious is he took some plays off, and how consistent is he? How passionate is he about the game?
And honestly, how good is he? Had Sam Montgomery on the other side.
Right.
Was it all him, or was it Montgomery helping him?
Yep.
And then that brings us to the guy you love and who just got cleared from
Jarvis Joe!
Spinal stenosis.
And I think the way the draft's setting up right now, the Steelers really need an outside linebacker. And the way it looks is he's going to fall right in their lap. That's going to piss me off if the Steelers get him. But that's the way it is.
Bear me. And that brings us into a top 5 inside linebackers. And actually, we're going to jump back up because we forgot somebody.
You got a couple people.
Our number 4 outside linebacker, which he was number 1 all year.
Solid.
All year.
He's solid.
Except for when he started falling because of his bench press.
Yeah.
I mean, but his tape does not lie, people. DeMontre Moore, Texas A&M, 6'4", 250. I mean,
he's solid. He was
out of everyone on here, out of everyone on this list, he got to the quarterback the most and the most sufficiently.
Yep. Our 5th-rated guy is Alex Okafor from Texas. He's a solid guy, too.
Who the Browns have been looking at.
You can't go wrong with any of these guys, but our sleeper is Arthur Brown from Kansas State.
And he's a stud.
This brings us to our inside linebacker, which the Browns need, in my opinion, more than an outside linebacker.
And the number 1 guy we have listed barely beat out the number 2 guy. But our number 1 guy's got problems. I mean, he's got a DUI. He's failed drug tests. I mean, I don't know if he's going to fall for that reason or not. So,
somebody will take a chance.
But it's Alec Ogletree. Very, very athletic inside linebacker and very tall.
Our next guy really has issues off the field as well because we can't really determine if he has a girlfriend or not.
But he's got better tape.
Manti Te'o. But the tape also doesn't lie because you look at what Manti Te'o did or didn't do in the national title game, he disappeared. So
he fell apart.
If you're going to disappear under big pressure like that, you really want to take a guy like that. I don't know.
Well, wherever he's going is not going to make the playoffs anyway, so you don't have to worry about that.
But I wouldn't. There's other people on his list I'd rather have than Te'o based on.
But would I gamble on him? Yeah, I would. Because he's got
I'd take this next guy over him.
Our 3rd rated,
also from LSU,
is Kevin Minter, complete stud. I mean, he's.
I see Ozzie Newsome with the Ravens taking him at the end of the 1st round to replace Ray Lewis. That's my opinion, but I think it'd be a hell of a replacement for Ray Lewis.
And this next guy, one of 3 studs from Oregon coming out.
Oregon's just studly this year.
Which, I love this guy. He only played 2 years. He had to sit. Kiko Alonso, 6'3", 240, and he is huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
And he gets to the quarterback, I'll tell you that. Even as an inside linebacker, he gets there.
Our 5th-rated guy is A.J. Klein from Iowa State.
Some people might not know him. He's a little lower, but I love him. He had a great combine.
Our sleeper is yet another guy from North Carolina.
Kevin Reddick, 6'1", 245. He's got some skill, and he's not supposed to go to the 4th round.
Now, some people are rating this particular draft class for cornerbacks kind of low. If you just look at the top 5, it's not bad at all.
Our top 5.
Outside of the top 5, yeah, it's kind of shitty, but this is our top 5 cornerbacks.
I mean, you could have got our sleeper pick in the 1st round last year.
Yeah. But, I mean, these top 5 guys aren't bad.
That's how deep it is. But number 1, obviously, we got D. Milner.
D. Milner, hands down, is the best corner in this draft.
I mean, just speed, size, hitting ability. I mean, he's just... This is... And 2 and 3 is where we differ. I have number 2, Desmond Trufant. He's the best cover corner in this whole draft.
Yeah. Milner doesn't really have a lot of speed, so it's not really... He can make up for coverage, but he's not really right there.
Milner ran a 4.38.
Yeah.
Okay? Desmond Trufant ran a 4.38.
But he covers it.
But Desmond Trufant's hips
don't lie.
They don't. I mean, everyone's even saying he is the best man-to-man corner there is out there. And you're not going to blow by him either.
The third-rated guy, which I have second, he's got third.
Who's a horse. I mean, he's a big boy.
Xavier Rhodes out of Florida State. That dude's a good corner.
He reminds me of a Sherman. I mean, that's how big he is. Sherman, I'm sorry. That's how big
Richard
he is.
Sherman.
From Seattle, in case you guys don't know that. He's 6'2", 210. I mean, he's got...
Our fourth-rated guy is from Boise State. Many of you may not know who he is, but...
Jamar Taylor. He's good. Trust me. That's all I can tell you. I mean, he's good.
You watch tape on a guy, he stands out.
And our number 5, he's been sliding. He was number 1 when it all started.
Yep.
Jonathan Banks, Texas A&M. His teammates coming hard. Cyrus, Clay, I think his last name.
Slay or something.
Yeah. But he's coming hard. And that brings us to he's not really a sleeper, but completely underrated.
He's a little guy. He'll give you something. He's more of a nickel corner.
He can cover the slot all day.
He's a nickel corner. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger.
He's supposed to go in the 4th or 5th round. Yeah. I mean, my God.
Yeah. If he wouldn't have had drug problems and marijuana and everything, and he would have stayed in school, next year he'd probably been a top 15 pick.
Yep.
But he had problems, so he fell. And this brings us to our safeties. This is a fairly deep class, I think, for safeties as well.
Very deep.
The best overall rated safety, I think, bar none, is from Texas, Kenny Vaccaro. He's gonna be good.
6'1", 215. He can hit. He can cover. He didn't run the fastest 40, but you don't have to.
But he's just a stud as a safety.
His ball instincts is what.
Yeah, he's a hawk.
No one has him. I mean,
the next guy from Florida, a lot of mock drafts have Ozzie Newsome from the Ravens taking him as well to replace Ed Reed. Matt Elam from Florida.
Which, I mean, he's very quick. He's got a bloodline. I mean, it always comes back to that. He has someone to teach him. He knows the right way to do it.
This next cat at 3.
Another LSU boy.
Eric Reed. He's also very solid.
He's big, solid, and he doesn't miss tackles. Yep. I mean, that's the big thing.
The next guy we have is from a very small school, Florida International. This guy is racing up the draft boards for whatever reason. We didn't have him on our board originally, but since he's moving up the boards, Jonathan Cyprien. So you hear that name, he probably moved himself into late second, early third.
No, he's moved himself into late first, mid-second.
I don't know about that.
I do.
This next kid is Brian's one of his favorite safeties.
He's underrated. You play in the SEC. I mean, day in, day out. He's battle tested.
Bakari Rambo.
He's 6'2", 220, and he can lay a lick. And he is a hawk. A hawk.
Our sleeper from Nevada,
Duke Williams.
With a name like Duke, you gotta be kind of good, right? I mean,
well, that's what we thought about Tank Carter too. But,
he's gonna be all right. So that's kind of our top 5 by position of where we are in the draft this year. Now we're gonna run through This is our mock draft 1.0. We're gonna have another one next week. So
the next one will be official.
This is our initial, just kind of glancing at what we think the teams will do. So number 1, the Chiefs had the first overall pick in the draft.
We have
them taking
Andy Reid pulling a stunner, like we told you earlier. He's gonna go with Eric Fisher over Jokel.
Number 2 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian has them taking Deion Jordan because they really need a defensive end.
That's their biggest need, and he's the best one.
I think the Browns are kind of looking at him at 6, but if he's
there.
If the Jags take him at 2, then maybe Milner falls to us. We'll see.
I think if Jordan doesn't go in the top 3, Kelly might get him. He knows what he can do. But number 3, I mean, everyone has him here. Sharif Floyd.
Raiders.
And then number 4, they really need a corner. I mean, you might as well take one. I mean,
the Eagles at number 4 got taken our boy D. Milner.
And at 5,
the Lions.
Since Buckus retired, we have them taking Luke
Jokel.
And since we had to have the Browns pick someone, which we don't think they're going to pick here if those 2 are gone.
If those 2 are gone, we pretty much think that the Browns are going to trade down, and the reason being
is for the number 7 pick.
Well, number 6, there's a lot of people that want Lane Johnson because he's an offensive tackle.
And he's the
next guy in line, and we think there's going to be a lot of people that want him and trade up before Arizona, who picks at 7 to get him.
If D. Milner and Jordan aren't there, we're trading down. But we had to put somebody in the slot, so we're going to put Barkevius Mingo. Kiki Mingo.
So at 7, if it stays true to form, the Cardinals will probably take Lane Johnson.
There's no doubt about it. And then at 8, we have Buffalo sitting there with a big smile on their face.
Because Geno Smith's going to fall in their lap.
And then we have
Ziggy Ansah.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Ziggy. You got Rex Ryan sitting there with a smile on his face, just guessing what he can do with this guy.
Yep. So you have 2 stud defensive ends in New York with JPP.
And then you got 2 of the teams that could trade up for Lane Johnson, going after 2 of the best guards in the draft. Which you got Tennessee taking Jonathan Cooper.
We got him going back-to-back, and San Diego with the 11th pick taking Chance Warmack.
And then we got your boy Xavier Rhodes going to Miami.
And then the Bucks pick at 13, we got him taking Star Lutulele.
And then at 14, we have the Panthers, desperate for some defensive line help, taking Sheldon Richardson.
And the Saints at 15, I think they could go a couple different ways here. They may take Jarvis Jones here. In our first draft, we got him taking the best safety in the draft, and Kenny Vaccaro.
And then that brings us to Mr. Fisher with the biggest smile on his face in the whole draft because he knows he needs it, Tavon Austin.
Bradford will be lighting the air up if Tavon Austin gets picked by then.
And then
number 17, the Steelers draft.
We have them. I only have this if Sanders leaves. Only if Sanders leaves.
If he doesn't leave, the Steelers are stupid because they're going to get a third round pick for Sanders.
Yeah. And they're stupid for taking this guy, but I just got to go with where he's going. Go ahead.
Cordero Patterson.
The next Limas Swede. Congratulations, Pittsburgh.
If that happens, Jared Jones will be pissing himself because Jarvis Jones will fall to the Cowboys.
Fall into his lap. And Fluker would, too.
Yeah.
So they need both.
You're sitting there as Jared Jones. You're liking what you're seeing.
And then the New York Giants, who really want to make another Super Bowl push before people will get old, like their quarterback.
He's not that old.
Or broken.
I think Whedon's still younger than Manning. So.
It's not. I think Manning's like 31, 30. But we have them taking DJ Fluker, the big left tackle, or right tackle at Alabama.
Right tackle. But that'll help protect Manning, so they might do that. And then at 20, we've got the Bears picking. They got to replace frickin' Urlacher somehow.
Mr. Badass himself, Alec Ogletree.
Alec Ogletree.
Which, I mean, he's got talent. I'm just worried about the drugs.
21, the Bungles are on the clock. Did we have them taken?
Eric Reed, safety, LSU.
And the Rams are back on the clock at 22. This is the Redskins' former pick for RG3.
And remember, they just got Tavon Austin, and now they're going to add
Manti Te'o.
That's
a hell of a draft for St. Louis.
That's a hell of a first round. And then that's going to take us to Minnesota, who just lost Antoine Winfield, one of the best corners in the league.
Even
to Seattle.
He's still good.
And they're going to replace him with Desmond Trufant.
That's a good pick right there. 24, we got the Colts picking.
Larry Warford helped protect that luck.
That luck.
And
then at 25, the Vikings are back on the clock.
And they're going to take Kevin Minter.
That's a hell of a pick.
I mean,
you got one of the best, in his mind, the best corner, the second best corner, and then you got one of the best linebackers in Kevin Minter. That's a good pickup right there.
Yep. So right there in the first round, the Rams and Minnesota.
If this guy falls into their lap as it is, they have no running back right now. They haven't had a running back for years.
And if he does fall to them, it is going to be scary, and they're going to be hard to beat.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be handing the ball off
to Eddie Lacy.
That's going to be insane.
And he's going to fall that far. I'm just telling you right now. And then
27, the Texans pick.
Matt Schaub's smiling after he got his ear ripped off last year because he's going to be throwing to Robert Woods and Andre Johnson. So I'd be pretty happy about that. And then Denver's going to get even better.
Since they lost Elvis Dumerville, they're going to pick up Bjorn Werner.
Which he went from a 5 pick down to the low 20s. I wouldn't pass him up. And then we have the Patriots because they know how to find talent. They don't go with people's ratings. We have big Jonathan Hankins going to New England.
He'll fill the middle next to Vince Wilfork.
And
damn!
Good luck getting through.
No shit. Then at 30, we've got the Falcons on the clock.
We got them taking DeMontre Moore.
That's the one thing that hurt them last year. It wasn't their offense. It was their defense.
And here, this is really scary. San Francisco might have lost Goldston, but they're getting him right back in Bad Elam.
A younger version of Goldston and probably a better version. And then the last pick in the draft, since they won the Super Bowl, which is really the shit bowl because they won it.
And we really like this guy.
Baltimore is going to take Keenan Allen at 32.
One of the best wide receivers on the board.
So you sign Flacco and you give him more talent. So that's pretty much what we think is going to happen in version 1.0 of our draft.
And we'll get back to you next week. We'll have 2.0. We'll have some more Browns rumors. Maybe if they make some more transactions, we'll see what happens. But until next time, this is Schwartz on Sports.
And we're out.